it's like the institution does not have your back.
And that's the big thing that a lot of nurses have a problem with, because they feel unseen, they feel unheard, they feel that the hospital or the facility cares more about the patients or the patient's family members than they themselves.
I have experiences and the patient was like, basically it has to do with the color of my skin, that they don't want me in there. And it does happen. People don't talk about it, but it happens a lot.
Your patient arguing with you and insulting you. How do you handle that?
But one thing I've always told myself, I'm not going to be that nurse who eat their young.
They're young,
That's an expression.
Welcome to Married to Nursing,
the podcast where we pull back the curtain on healthcare.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Married to Nursing. I'm Anna.
I'm Armand.
And we are married nurses who have been nurses for over decades. And in this podcast, we pull back the curtains behind healthcare, specifically nursing care, to take you behind the scenes of what patients don't see, but nurses see and pay attention to. So sit back and relax and enjoy today's episode. But before we get started, here's a little disclaimer. On this podcast and every episode that you're going to watch, we never share any patient's details or information that would identify a specific patient. What we share here is our comprehensive experiences as nurses, and we use that just to help you understand or gain better understanding of the healthcare system, and so you can be empowered to make better decisions for yourself. So today, the conversation is going to be really good. So we are talking about burnout, mental exhaustion, and why a lot of nurses are leaving the healthcare field. So,
okay, let's dive in. Burnout. Oh, that's a big one.
Yes. So, so let's just get into it. Why are most nurses leaving healthcare?
Oh man, that's a tough one, because there could be like a lot of different reasons, why nurses leave. If we want to be specific, burnout, taking care of patient day in and day out, can be very tiring, especially mentally. The physical aspect of it is a huge one. Imagine you're working 12-hour shift. Most of the time you're on your feet, going up and down all the time.
Right.
And physically you get tired, and you do those shifts sometimes 3 days in a row. And if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't properly take care of yourself, and over time it gets exhausting.
Right.
You just don't want to go to work. The second aspect is the taking care of people, emotionally charged. Your patient
That's tough. Yeah.
Your patient arguing with you, your patient insulting you.
That part, your patient arguing with you and insulting you. How do you handle that? I'm trying to remember if I've ever had a patient. Actually, yes, I have. I have had a patient, insults me, and well, thankfully I didn't let it get to me, which was very surprising, because I always thought that I was this soft person, and maybe if a patient was to scream at me or insult me, I'll start crying. But surprisingly, I didn't, and that I was shocked.
I think the reason why it maybe didn't get to you is because you know that you are there for that patient. Sometimes patient insult or get the word that I'm looking for, get like that by insulting or being aggressive, is because of they are sick, they're in the hospital, they don't have any control. They feel like they lose all the control that they can have, and then somebody is telling them what they have to do each and every time. So that get to them is just like, try to be in their place, in their position, and it get overwhelmed. Why are you always telling me what I have to do? So that's why it doesn't get to you. But then over time, it accumulates.
Right.
And I have experiences, and the patient was like, basically, it has to do with the color of my skin. That they don't want me in there. All I have to say,
yes, that happens a lot, where the patients will say, I don't want her, or I don't want him because of the color of
the
their
skin,
skin. I don't want this type of
and
skin.
it does happen. People don't talk about it, but it happens a lot.
And usually for the nurse, and this is behind the scenes that we talk about here, taking you behind the scenes. But usually for the nurse is happy, like, oh, okay, because that means that I just escaped. That means that this patient is probably a troublesome patient, and it's gonna be a lot of problems. So
Exactly.
I just escaped. Like, that's fine.
Because patients that are like that, like you say, they are troublesome patients. They will give you the hardest time throughout their stay, and your best answer is, well, I'm all you got. We're not gonna change. You're not gonna get another person in the middle of the
But
shift.
what do you think about some facilities because yes, there are some hospitals or some places that you work and they'll say, no, Mr. So and so, this is your nurse. She's great or he's great. He's going to take good care of you. And, this is what you got. There are some who would accommodate the patient and say, okay, let's get you a different nurse. What do you think about that?
I think that is wrong, because in a hospital, you take care of a variety of individuals from different background, different, ethnic background, different religious belief and everything. So if we have to take into account all of those aspects, then it will be very hard to, really take care of people. We have to focus on the skills of the nurse, the skill. If the nurse or the healthcare provider is doing something that is detrimental to the patient's safety, that's one different thing.
Right.
But if it's simply because, the patient is capricious and want it their way, no, that's not how it works. We are here to take care of everybody, regardless of who they are, where they come from, what are their backgrounds. Yeah. So if any institution is accommodating those type of behavior, capricious behavior, then that's not fair. That's not good.
Yeah, well, some institutions are. we're being real on this podcast. Some institutions, they do that, and
they do, and so that will contribute to the nurse burnout. So it's like the institution does not have your back,
and that's the big thing that a lot of nurses have a problem with, because they feel unseen, they feel unheard, they feel that the hospital or the facility cares more about the patients or the patient's family members than they themselves.
True. I've worked in places where I felt that, like, very heavily, and I left.
Right.
Well, I left those organizations because it wasn't conducive to my
mental
health. I didn't feel like I was gonna grow professionally there, and I stuck around to gain the skill that I needed to gain. And when the opportunity appeared, I left.
You took off.
I took off.
Well, yeah.
It does happen, and that's like one of the issue with burnout. Another issue too, I will have to go back during the time of the pandemic, or where I was, taking care of those very, very sick patients. That one is also another major burnout issue, because you are caring for this patient that you know that they're not going to survive, right? And you do everything you can, and then sometimes they ask you this very tough question: oh, am I going to make it? And throughout your care, your nursing experience, put it that way, unfortunately, you can pick up when a patient is not going to survive,
to make it.
Yeah. And when a patient asks you that question, what do you do? What do you say? Do you tell the truth,
right,
or you just, kind of sugarcoat it?
Have you had an experience where a patient asked you that? Like, what did you do?
Yeah, I remember a patient that one got stuck with me. I mean, got stuck. It's still with me up until today, where she the patient was sick, and it got to a point where we needed to intubate the patient. And during the pandemic, every time we intubated a patient, they don't
They didn't make
they
it.
didn't make it.
The chances are very low.
Yeah, the chances are very low. So she asked me, am I gonna make it? I mean, I look her dead in the eyes and I'm like, it's 50-50.
That's tough.
That's tough. And unfortunately, I think a couple of days later, that patient,
Passed.
you know,
Yeah,
passed.
that's the hard thing about nursing, really, that leads to burnout, just that emotional aspect and the toll it takes on your mental health, your mental well-being, because seeing people pass, and it's so bad that it now gets to the point. I remember the first time I lost a patient, I couldn't sleep that night. Like
Of
I
course.
could not sleep. I kept having that image in my head and kept just seeing everything playing out in my head. And I just could not close my eyes to sleep because I'm someone too, I'm very sensitive to some certain things. So I try to be careful of what I see, what I watch, what because I know that it would affect me. So, but then it got to the point where it became normal. Like it
Yeah.
became like, okay, the patient passed. Because I remember that time, that first patient, because it was my patient, I had to prepare the
Oh, you have to
body,
prepare the
and
body.
I had to. It was just me in there with the body. Oh my gosh, I was freaking out. I was freaking out, but I wanted to put on a brave face for the rest of the nurses. That was I think my first 3 years in nursing. I can't remember if it was my first or second, but it was within my first 3 years in nursing. And of course, subsequently after that, not that I've lost a lot of patients, but like anyone after that, it became easier and easier to where now became, oh, okay, and that's sad.
For me personally, I think I never wanted to be fully detached for the process. I didn't want it to just be a normal day-to-day
Right.
basis. So like for like your example, you were the only one in the room. I had instances like that where I had to get the body ready for the undertaker, and I would go in the room by myself, close it, but I
You
try to
close the door.
I
Oh my.
close the door. I would create like an atmosphere of respect, for that moment, because I look at it as you it's you have it's almost like a privilege
Right.
to be the one to help this person transition,
Yeah.
right? So the one thing you can do is respect that moment and make it a little bit more. I mean, I don't know if you believe in the soul or all those things. You know, if the person's soul is watching you, or God is watching you do that. But at least bring some sort of serenity surrounding that. That moment.
Yeah. So besides that, what else do you think is leading to the nursing burnout or nurses walking away
Oh,
from the
yeah.
healthcare?
The other thing is, I will say, things that are coming down from the top echelon.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yes. From upper
Nurses,
management.
yeah, nurses, PCA, patient care assistant. Like now I work in the OR, scrub technician. It's like a lot of people will feel like they are not being heard. The grievances. A lot of things happen. There's dissatisfaction is high, like patient dissatisfaction. Nowadays they measure that.
Yes.
Not only the patient dissatisfaction, but also the employees dissatisfaction, like employee retention. People will start, and then a few days into orientation, they'll be like, this is not for me. I can't do this. They walk away. So what is causing that? Or people will be in a job for a while, and then they feel like, okay, I'm not being heard. I'm not being heard, and then they walk away.
Right. I remember one of the hospitals that I worked at, they really emphasized or really put a lot of pressure on the nurses because of this grading system or this evaluation system. They send evaluation to patients and family members, caregivers. And so they really focus on that. And so they're putting so much pressure on the nurse, like, oh, we got this evaluation back. Oh, we're this level now instead of this. Like, it made it seem like they were just constantly on the nurses to do better or to like that. I don't even know how to explain it, but the pressure was so much that it made the environment so toxic for the nurses, and not even just for the nurses, for everyone there, the PCA, because there's pressure on the PCA, there's pressure on the unit secretary, there's pressure on the nurses. And so everybody's just going at it because of that. And I don't fault the managers because they are getting pressure from the CNO, and the CNO is getting pressure from
the CEO,
the CEO or the president of that. So it's all coming down, but the bottom of the barrel of the nurses, unfortunately.
True. And a lot of time, patient or even, like your manager, manager will usually know that you are bearing the heavy of the load, but everybody else doesn't really see that.
Yeah,
because you are the last person before the patient. Anything, once something goes wrong at your level, then it cannot be cut anymore, right?
Yeah.
So like recently we are doing our annual survey, and I'm telling my team, hey, some guys don't want to do it. And I'm like, no, do it. Whatever dissatisfaction you have, whatever satisfaction, whatever feelings you have, it is your moment to put it in there, to do that survey. Most of the question is, are you totally dissatisfied? Are you, but then they have those comment section.
Yeah, you can.
That's when you need to put your
but there's the fear of I don't want to say exactly how I feel, because then I don't want to be retaliated against or have this target on my back that, oh, I'm so dissatisfied, so I'm not doing my job right or whatnot. So I believe, like,
I'll give you 2 examples. Like, well, not 2 examples. Number one, those surveys are anonymous. That's what it says, right?
Sure.
And I that's why everybody says sure. But I would like to believe that it is truly anonymous, because those surveys are not conducted by the institution.
Okay.
They contract them with, to different agencies. And once the survey is complete, they tally all the results and send it to the institution to review. That's what I would like to believe. Then they don't disclose whatever anybody says. I mean, can the way the comment is phrased, identify who wrote it? Possibly, because our writing is specific to us, right? Now I lost track of what the second thing that I was going to say, but it will come back to me. So put those things in the survey. And then the second thing is, well, if you don't say anything, you are just miserable where you are. How is it going to change?
Well, that's why they end up leaving.
You see, me personally, when I first moved to the OR, and then it tallied to what makes nurses quit also, like is orientation, or the person that is teaching you how the new department work, right? And the person is treating you like, hey, bear in mind, before I joined the OR, I had almost 12 years of experience as a nurse. I never worked in the OR, but on the bedside, I got to a point where, I really knew what I was doing.
Right, you can do it in your seat.
I goes, you tell me this person's whatever so and so lab is this, or okay, he's training this way, or whatever vital signs are this way. I would say, okay, we need to call, or this is what we need to do to get this patient better. Then I got to the OR. I'm the newbie.
Different ball game.
Yeah,
I remember that. It was tough. Like
it was tough.
You almost quit. You almost left the OR because of that.
Exactly. Yeah. But I took it to myself to be a personal challenge. And then one of these guys that was orienting me one day decided to scream at me. I told him right then and there, don't you ever do that again, right? And as a matter of fact, I don't want to train with you again. And I walk out.
Okay, but see, you are a young man, yes, but you're not fresh out of nursing school.
Okay.
Right? And you already know yourself, right?
Yeah.
So now imagine a fresh out of nursing school person, a nurse coming into that environment. They don't have the same confidence to be able to fend for themselves like that, or say, you can't talk to me like that, or don't let this happen again, so they take it in, it's really like an abuse because it's a toxic environment. So they take the abuse and they're miserable the entire shift. But you're someone, you're older, you're an experienced nurse, and you already know yourself, so you're able to stand up. And
so my solution to that is it goes back to management and also the preceptor. I precepted a lot of nurses throughout my career, right? But one thing I've always told myself, I'm not going to be that nurse who eat their young.
They're young, yeah.
That's an
expression. Yeah, there's an expression that nurses eat their young, which is sad.
Yeah, I told myself I am not going to be that nurse that eat their young. And I bring myself to that level of whatever the person is. And I try to make it very comfortable,
for the person.
Because I know how challenging, because whatever you learn in school, the reality is different.
It's different. But see, that's the thing. People don't realize that you were once a newbie. You that has experience right now that is training someone. There was a time where you were brand new.
People forget that. Yeah. And that's something that it needs to be addressed, that you cannot forget where you come from, because now you're probably a big shot, you know all these procedure, or how to do everything, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm better than the person coming.
Like, oh, why can't you get it? Why are you so slow? Ma'am,
you forgot how it was tough for you to get it.
I've done this before. Exactly. I'm straight out of nursing school. Exactly. This is my first real job.
So we need to be understanding of our own self,
right,
and also understand the person that is coming in, to make the transition easy.
Easier.
Because that person that you were training can be the one taking care of one of your loved one in the future.
Right.
So
exactly.
Put that in your mind, and know that, okay, we don't want the person to quit, because we already have a nursing shortage.
Yeah.
So whoever struggled to nursing school, pass the end class, night no sleep, studying day in and day out,
drinking
coffee, have a little bit of
and
humanity.
Right. And to your point, you complain, that's nurses or the staff in general complain about, the shortage, we don't have enough help, we're overworked, overloaded, whatnot. Now they hired people to come help you, and now you're treating these people, like these new nurses or this new staff, as if, what are you doing here? Like, you don't know anything or whatnot.
Exactly.
Meanwhile,
and then the person quit, and then you usher again. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle, right? So make the job of the new hire easy enough so they want to stay, right? So you don't suffer from shortages where you have to work extra hours,
right?
Or there's not enough people there to take care of the patients, right? So you have to, all those things come together, not only to help the organization, but to help you, and also to help the patient that you are taking care of, and also to help that new person that is coming.
Right. I think another thing that would help too is maybe if the management can ask, depending on how big the facility is, but we're assuming people who have preceptors, usually it's a bigger facility. So ask the nurses there who wants to be a preceptor, and not just dump a new nurse on someone and say, oh, you're going to precept this person today. And not only that, also inform them ahead of time, because I know that there are instances where you show up at work and they're like, oh, and now you're going to precept a student today. Like, nobody told me. And sometimes it's even after you've done your shift report, so you're about to get into the groove of things, and they bring someone for you to precept, and you're like, I was just about to get in my day.
I raised that point one time, right? But the thing is, how people come to the job and people leave. You might have a good preceptor who worked there for maybe a couple of years and then he's gone, right? So whoever is there next will have to train that nurse. And some people are not good teachers.
Right.
And also people learn differently.
Right.
So I had a preceptor one time. We're learning. I had to follow her to learn about this very huge procedure. So, she wasn't saying anything. I'm just trying to figure my way around.
Mhm.
And after the patient, the procedure started, a piece of paper and wrote down everything that we were supposed to do, like whatever I need. And then she said,
Mhm.
well, this is the list of everything that we need for this procedure. This is how you're supposed to position. This is the medication, and study this. And I'm like, what? But it's like that's not my style of
Of
studying.
studying
I
or
need to have
learning.
hands-on.
Mhm.
So it's like she took her own style of studying
And gave
and
it
tried to
try.
apply it to me
Mhm.
without trying to know, which is uh, we don't have time to try to learn somebody's style of learning,
Right.
right? But uh, a little bit of adaptability.
Ability. Yeah.
You can observe the person you are training, because it's not sometimes it's not just one day the person is going to be with you, and then from there, like, okay, what can I adjust so this person can be successful?
Right.
But goes back to where people don't really care if you're successful. Sometimes they just want to come and say,
Unfortunately.
it's like, well, I don't want to be a preceptor.
Yeah.
Number one, a lot of people don't want to be a preceptor anyway.
Used to pay maybe a little something extra to be a preceptor. I believe when I
They
first
used to.
finished, I'm not sure if they still do that, but I know when I first finished nursing school, they used to pay maybe $1 extra or so for being a
Yeah.
preceptor.
Some organization at work, they pay. Some didn't. They say, oh, it's for your own
Growth.
personal development. It's not, but it doesn't help, because some nurses or some people, they just want to come and do whatever they have to do and go home.
And go.
They don't really care about the whole person. And then
Yeah.
you put in extra work on
On
them by
them.
trying to cheat somebody else, right? They're like,
Right.
I don't want to do, and then you are not paying me. I don't want to do this in the first place. So they are already mad, and they just make the shift miserable for
Miserable for
this
the
new
new
person.
person. I think that's also why most people cannot wait, including me. I remember when I was in orientation, any place where I've worked, I just could not wait to be by myself. It was at the point where I'm like, it would just be better for me to be
By
by
yourself.
myself and I can learn as I go, especially if since I'm an experienced nurse, I'm just new to this facility.
Yes.
So just it's okay. Let me just figure it out
Yeah.
because at this point,
And that happens a lot, because when you're new to a new facility, is a different workflow.
right.
So you are not learning how to take care of a patient.
Mm-hmm.
You are just
Just learning
learning
the
the workflow.
workflow.
It's good for somebody who has experience, so you get used to the workflow, and then you just. But somebody who is new,
Right.
they
That's
don't have that leverage, right?
yeah. I was fortunate when I left nursing school. My first job was at a very small hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So the people there were more like family. So
Mm-hmm.
they taught me, they took their time with all of us that were in that group. They really spent time with us. So it was at a smaller hospital. But if you go to the much bigger hospitals, the teaching hospitals, I believe that's where it's more of a challenge
Yeah.
because then you're really like a fish out of like in a big ocean.
Yeah. Very good point you made it. I had the same type of experience. I started at a small hospital, and it was more like a family.
Yeah.
But then when you get thrown into a bigger facility, you're like a small fish in a big
It's like
ocean, and
dog eat dog. Yeah.
it's like dog eat dog.
Yeah.
So often when somebody asks me about nursing, when to start, I would tell them, hey, start in a small place first.
Hmm.
So you can
But
get a groove. But
they
go
always want to come to the
the
big
big one,
hospital, the flashing
the
lights and
flash,
the yeah.
exactly. But the couple of years of experience you get in a smaller institution is
Better,
valuable,
yeah.
and you take that. Oh, okay, I'm not fresh out of school,
Hmm.
and you go to the news. Sometimes it will be like, okay, your orientation may just be shorter, but you can say, no, I want a full orientation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came from a small, so I have experience, but I need to get used to your
Used to it,
workflow.
right. Yeah.
The humility has to come from both sides, from the new nurse or the one moving to a new facility, and also from the preceptor, so that the turnover or the burnout is not so extensive.
Yeah. This calls for understanding within nurses,
Mm-hmm.
the experience, non-experienced, they're fresh out of nursing school ones. It just calls for understanding, realizing that, especially for the older nurses, you're passing the baton to the
Yeah.
next generation of nurses. So you need to be patient, you need to be understanding, because if not, what you're going to end up doing is scaring them away from the nursing field. I've listened to a lot of people, or watched a lot of videos where people are talking about their experiences as a new nurse, and that caused them to leave the field. Besides, because for some of them, they can handle their mental
The workload.
workload and all of that, but not when I'm already going through that, but then you're making the workplace toxic
Toxic.
environment for me. It's just, at that point, they're like, no.
One thing that just came to my mind is that that kind of toxicity
Toxicity. Mhm.
often stem from nurses who have been in the field for, or let's say preceptor who have been in the field for 1 to 5 years.
Mhm.
It's like they are the excuse me, they are the one where it's like for them teaching is harder, or maybe behave in a way that is more toxic.
They feel like I've arrived.
Exactly.
They have the I've arrived mentality.
They have a right mentality. I'm not like you who is
Mhm.
behind me.
Mhm.
But after a while, the nurses who are like in the field for 5 to 10 years, it's like they learn to relax
Yeah,
and be more of a teacher,
a teacher, a
and
nurturer,
because 0 to 5, everybody is competitive.
especially the 1 year.
Oh,
The 1 year nurse, like they feel like, oh,
I'm a nurse now. No,
you are a
you've
nurse,
been
but you're still a
a
baby nurse.
baby.
Yeah. So,
See,
with all of that, would you say that nursing is still a good field to come
oh
into?
yeah.
Like, is it still worth it for people to come into nursing? Because I know there are people who are thinking about coming into the nursing field.
Mhm.
But before you even talk about that, or before we talk about that, let's talk about the people who come into nursing field just for the money, not even for the heart behind it. Because to me, I believe that is very dangerous.
It is. But
Because, sorry, because nursing school is hard.
mhm,
Nursing exam is hard. It's not a black and white A. The answer is A or B, or one
mhm.
plus one equals two. It's
The
the
critical
best
thinking.
answer. So all the four answers may be right, but
Mhm.
it's like, no, what is the best answer out of these four answers that are correct?
Critical thinking
So
part of it.
there are
Yeah.
people who are good with critical thinking.
Mhm.
They have good critical thinking skills. They can pass the exams or whatnot, but they don't have the heart for nursing.
Mhm.
I think that's very dangerous, because what people fail to realize is that someone's life
Depend on your
depend
decisions.
on your decisions.
Mhm.
Like, someone's life is literally on your hands, and you're just getting into this field just for the
For
money.
the money. Very good point. Yeah, a lot of people think that, oh, I'm gonna join nursing. I'm gonna have a career in nursing because the money it pays. Um, the job prospect is high, right?
Mhm.
Um, I, it's kind of tough to answer because everybody's socio-economical situation is
It's
different.
different, right?
So if you have to get there and take care of your family, hey, I'm all for it. Get there and take care of it. But then once you get there, realize that okay, it's no longer about money.
The money.
You know, you need to realize it's no longer about money. If you have a family member crying, you know, uh, uh
Have a
my,
compassionate attitude. Yeah.
exactly, the child is sick, or I had a patient who passed away, and the patient's siblings were around, and one of them fell to the ground, like she jumped on me,
Mm.
and was crying, like screaming. I mean, how do you deal with that if you are there because of money? Are you gonna get up and run away? We're like,
No,
I
you
mean,
say they don't pay me enough for this.
no, stay there.
Right.
She had like a full blown panic attack, like on the floor. We were scared that she was gonna hurt herself because she was just. We had to hold her, like. So things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's there's no money in the world that will satisfy you.
Yeah.
So forget about the money. If you join nursing, if you want to be a nurse, you have to have a heart for humanity.
Right.
That's what it is.
Compassion.
The pay, we all have to live, so
Yeah.
they will pay you. Make the best out of the money that you are making and keep on living. But remember, you are there for people.
Right. So, is it still worth it? Is nursing
Oh,
still worth it?
100%, 100%, like 250,000%. It's one of the most rewarding thing I think you and a person can ever, if you have the heart for it,
Right.
is one of the most rewarding thing that one can do. This surgeon, we were talking, and passion in his voice, and I was like, wow, these people are like, it's not about, let me get paid.
Right.
Literally, people's life at play here.
Mm-hmm.
The faster you work, the more advanced your skills are, the better you can contribute to humanity. The more you, I know I go back to humanity a lot, but that's what it is. We are contributing to humanity, to every living person. So
Right.
it's not about money.
Right. So, in summary,
Mm-hmm.
nursing is still a good field.
Yep.
It's still worth it.
Yep.
It's just we need better understanding.
Yep.
Amongst all healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
Understanding that we are all in this together. We're here to take care of people and nurse them back to health, to life, basically. Make the environment a good place to learn, to grow, to be a better nurse, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you heard him. It's still worth it, but it's just need to be understanding. All right, everyone, that is pretty much it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, for joining us on today's episode. If you have any question, any comments, please leave it in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube, and also subscribe and hit the thumbs up button to show that you love this episode, and so we can continue to bring you more conversations like this. If you're listening in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please be sure to follow and leave us a review if you are able to. We'll see you on the next episode, where we are talking all about what happens after a code blue, a cardiac arrest that patients don't see, but the nurses know and see behind the scenes. All right. So we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.